All right, we're here. Welcome to episode 14 of Versus Mike History. I'm your host, Michael History. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, I review music, television, and film, and interview guests from all walks of life and provide social commentary on lifestyle topics. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you choose to listen. And if we aren't on your preferred platform, let us know, and we'll do our best to change that. All right, so it's day whatever of quarantine, and I think I'm finally starting to get a hang of this podcasting alone thing. It's been difficult. I've listened to my older episodes and I've heard the trash quality, but I've been doing a lot of research. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, trying to improve this thing, and I think I'm starting to get a hang of it. I've been taking a lot of notes, and I got a lot of good shit for you guys today, like legitimately good. And I'm gonna take my time, and I hope you guys can notice the difference. We're just gonna start there. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's staying safe and practicing social distancing. I know that a couple of states are opening back up, and there are some questionable people out there protesting to open everything back up. But, it's just not safe out there yet. And you guys should, really do your research and make sure you're staying safe. And, I care about the world. I care about you guys. I care about the listeners. And, yeah. That's pretty much how I wanted to start today. Make sure you exercising, you getting your mental health on, you doing your wellness checks, you getting your work done if you're working from home, you getting your classwork done if you're still in college. Know what I mean, it's just what we got to do at this time. I'm telling you though, if outside opens back up, it's gonna be a zoo. It's gonna be a zoo. I'm gonna be the first one acting a fool too. So, fingers crossed. Hoping for the best. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get started with the design of the week. So this week's design of the week is the balloon dog from Jeff Koons, which was created in 1993. And I'm going to go ahead and read off the excerpt that I wrote, which will be posted on the website as well. Jeff Koons is a highly acclaimed fine artist whose Celebration series created a tidal wave of impact into the art world. What began in 1993 was a series of small to large stainless steel balloon sculptures with a mirror-like finish in various colors. The focus of this week's design of the week is on that of the balloon dog. The piece is considered pop art due to its consistent reproduction in the artist factory-like studio in Soho, New York. Although Koons reinforces that his work should be interpreted quite literally, he once described that the action of inhaling and exhaling to produce an actual balloon dog is indicative of the human condition. Additionally, he mentions that while from the exterior it may seem empty, it is full of symbolism, comparing it to the Trojan horse. Success of the work speaks for itself, as it sold at an auction in 2013 for a massive $58.4 million, a record price for an artist still alive. I fuck with the balloon dog. Jeff Koons, you hear him in all the Jay-Z raps when he first started getting into art after the Watch the Throne effect. I kind of just wanted to focus on that because I wanted to focus, obviously the point of the design of the week is to focus on cool shit and people designing things that like look fly and I would say impacted the world even, but Jeff Koons is just visually attractive, whether it's a piece of art that's in an art gallery or if it's even a little figurine that you buy off Amazon or eBay or whatever that you keep in the house. So there's that. Moving forward though, a good amount of new music came out this week. So I want to start with Neiman J and Eric Bellinger's new project, Optimal Music. That was pretty dope. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing, but I think there was only like 2 songs that I didn't hear. Some of the standout songs that I really fucked with were Couch Standing, and that had Jeremiah and Wale on it, and Overtime, because that uses a really dope Division sample. And, Eric Bellinger, he's one of my favorite R&B artists. He is a dope writer, and even his own music is really great. So I feel like whenever he puts out a project, I'm definitely always going to have my ear to the streets. And I feel like he can do no wrong. I don't really know too much of Neiman J. He might even be a producer, because now that I'm thinking about it, when I was listening to the project, it's not like I heard a lot of him and somebody else singing. I just heard him now that I'm really thinking about it. So excuse my ignorance, but I'm pretty sure that it's definitely a collaborative album, but I'm pretty sure that he's a producer. And I'm gonna go ahead and double check that afterwards, but I'm gonna keep moving forward. K Camp dropped his album, Kiss 5. This album is fire, certified fire. K Camp is, first of all, I just want to start and say that K Camp is criminally underrated. I don't understand why he's treated the way he's treated by, I don't know if he's treated poorly by the public, but he's just, I don't think that he gets the recognition that he deserves. And I'm pretty sure that his label treats him the same way, because he went on social media a couple months back and he was complaining about how, you know, he got all these streams from Renegade because it was a big TikTok sensation, and you know, they don't have him on the front of these streaming playlists and yada yada yada, and you know, they just don't treat him right, and you know, that ain't right. Anyway, back to this album. It's straight heat, bro. Start to finish. I don't know why people sleep on them, but the standouts from this album are Fall in Line, What's on Your Mind, Ice Cold, Friendly, Black Men Don't Cheat, and of course, Renegade comes at the end. But yeah, you know, get that Kiss 5. I don't even know what else to say. Like, that's definitely gonna be in my rotation. I'm a big R&B nigga, so I'm gonna be listening to that. Kid Cudi and Travis Scott dropped the single called The Scots. That's a nice little rager. I wish I was outside, because that's the song that I would be playing if I was outside. That's like a real fire, like on your way to the kickback, on your way from the kickback type of song that you know what I mean? Energies just go straight up. And those two guys, they know how to get a party rocking. I seen both of them live, and you know, both times were special experiences for me. But yeah, Travis and Cudi together can do no wrong to me. I hope that this is leading up to a project, because it was released under Travis Scott, Kid Cudi, and the Scots. And I know the name of the song is called The Scots, but it was also released under like an artist name of the Scots. What else? Chris Brown and T-Pain, they dropped their single that everybody was waiting on, that T-Pain teased on his Instagram Live, Wake Up Dead. That song is really dope. Should be for the radio. Rapper Weed, Sir dropped a new song with Boogie. That's just like straight LA vibes. Masego dropped Veg Out, Wasting Time. Masego, immaculate musician, man. He's just great. And, you know, another artist who can do no wrong in my eyes. So his mind is just out of this world. And Levon Collie dropped the song Perfect Is Born with Ty Dolla $ign. And that song is fire too. Ty Dolla $ign, he, you know, he's very frustrating, because he always knows how to make someone else's song sound immaculate. But when it comes to his music, not saying that it sounds bad, because he has a classic album on his belt, which is Free TC, by the way. That's not up for debate in my eyes. But when it comes to his personal projects, it's like he gives all the good stuff away, and then he, you know, he'll keep the mid and he'll put it out as a project. But, you know, whatever. I don't know. But that's pretty much it for music this week. I definitely watched way more television this week than I listened to music. And I have a lot of notes. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in with Insecure. This week's episode was really well shot. The music was really well. And everybody looked great. And it was really funny. And it was like really eye-opening, and it moved the season forward in a really good way. So the series is doing a good job of setting up the falling out of Molly and Issa, because, you know, every episode, you know, you just have the lead up, and I feel like it's a juxtaposition between the lead up to Molly and Issa's breakup, in addition to the Black Party. And, you know, we see that with the scene with them shopping in the supermarket right before Thanksgiving, and how they're like just bumping heads, talking about their relationships, and it's getting spicy. But, you know, this episode is really focused on relationships. So we see a lot of like Molly and Issa and her brother, and Molly and her dad, and Lawrence and Condola. And especially, with Thanksgiving being the focal point of the episode, we get to focus on these different settings and it jumps around a lot. But one of the more interesting things is seeing Lawrence's transition in the series. So obviously we open the series with him like not having a job, and he's with Issa, and he's trying to work into like getting back into the workforce and everything like that, and all of his relationship issues. And now like he's in a really good place. So he's in a pseudo relationship. We don't really know if he's in a relationship or not. It seems that he has like this perpetual issue when it comes to relationships. So in the relationship that he had with Issa, I mean, obviously it was like Issa was carrying him in the relationship. And then once they broke up, he was dealing with the other women and he wouldn't commit with them because, he had just gotten out of a relationship. So it was kind of like all sex. Then he met Condola, and, he's taking it steady, and, he's buying wine and popcorn and trying to invite himself to Thanksgiving. But, I guess that isn't the right move either. And, he's trying to move up in his job, and his job is downsizing. So like he's always going through something. But at least his issues this season are much less significant than the ones he was going through in past seasons, because that man been through some shit. However, on the flip side, Condola, I feel like we learn a lot about Condola this episode. First of all, we see her friends, and we learn that she was married before she was with Lawrence. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's like something I missed in the first 3 episodes, and y'all can let me know, write me and tell me, oh, it was at this part and da-da-da-da. But I didn't know that. So that was news to me. And when everybody just mentioned it and breezed right through it, I was kind of like, wait, huh? But yeah, so moving backwards a little bit, in the beginning of the episode, it starts with Lawrence and Condola in Condola's apartment, and Lawrence is getting ready for his presentation, and Condola's waking up or whatever. And, Lawrence they have a conversation after she wakes up about Thanksgiving, and she's saying that she's having a Friendsgiving, and he invites himself, and it's like obvious that she wasn't going to invite him to everybody except Lawrence. But, during that Friendsgiving, we learned that, she doesn't want to get married because of her past marriage. And, it kind of sparked something up in Lawrence that they have a discussion about later. And, it was just a really nice scene because it showed her friends, and like it was really good dialogue and stuff like that. But we learn a lot about Condola, because later on after the party, they have a conversation about how he doesn't want to be like a fuck buddy, and he doesn't want to be a rebound, and she's still tripping over her ex, and that leads into a conversation about how Condola thinks that she should be worried about Issa and around Lawrence because they have little jokes and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting dynamic to see them go back and forth about shit that we finally wanted to see, and that stuff that we wanted to see addressed, since the bombshell was dropped on us that Condola was dating Lawrence. Issa blowing off Molly on Thanksgiving, like I think that it was interesting because while I do believe that she should have had the conversation on Thanksgiving, no. And while she was having such a good time, I wouldn't want to end my holiday on such a like sour note of having to meet up with my friend and talk about the issues that we've been having for months and stuff like that. So I understand why she did it. I don't know if I would have done it as well, but we are humans at the end of the day. But Molly finally coming to gripes with her dad's issues from last season was really interesting, because I always felt like she was tripping over that, because first of all, it's not her relationship, it's her parents' relationship, and it's one that her parents have worked through for years and years and years. And to see it finally climax with a conversation with her brother, it was like, he was like, they've been working on this forever. Like, you can't simply drop a situation just because one issue arises. And I feel like that's a reflection of her for sure, because whenever she has an issue with a guy, it's like, oh, well, and this is what Issa was saying in the supermarket earlier as well. She was like, oh, the old Molly is self-sabotaging and yada, yada, yada. And Molly has a habit of doing that, even though she doesn't want to admit to it. So that was really interesting. And I just want to point out that Molly has the most interesting family on Insecure by far. And that also leads me to say that this episode focused a lot on family. So like, we see Issa's mom for the first time in this episode. We see Molly's family, who we saw last season again. We see Kelly and her family, and we see Tiffany, her husband Derek, and Lawrence's boy. I can't remember his name. We see him in the club, but you know, he's not showing his girl. So it's funny. I think that's like a running joke. But you know, what else we got? Oh, Issa and Lawrence in like the little restaurant. I thought that was interesting that, you know, that they ran into each other. I don't know. It was funny to me that Condola came out of nowhere, because like obviously I didn't think that they were like meeting up, but like that little interaction with them and her walking up made for an awkward situation, which obviously came back to bite him in the ass later on with the argument or whatever. Yeah, and then the episode kind of just ends off with, you know, Lawrence laughing at Issa's Instagram and her about to reply and some shady shit about to happen. I don't know. Her brother was definitely the standout episode. I mean, the standout character of this episode. He had the funniest one-liners, and he was just speaking real shit when it was at the Mexican restaurant, because, you know, you just gotta be who you are, like, and you can't be apologetic for the person that you are, and you just got to live your truth. So, you know, all in all, it was a really good episode. And yeah, let's move on. So it's, when you guys hear this episode, it's going to be April 27th, but it's April 26th now, and it's the anniversary of Chernobyl. And, you know, when I was doing my notes for the week, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and watch the miniseries on HBO. And when I tell you that this is like some of the darkest television I've ever watched, it's like dark. Like I couldn't watch more than 2 episodes. It's only 5 episodes, but I couldn't watch more than 2 episodes at a time. Like, that's how depressing it is. It's just crazy. So the series follows the 1986 event in Chernobyl, the Chernobyl factory where the nuclear power plant exploded. And this was like major in Russia, by the way. So this was a major event, and it is crazy because it puts it into perspective of how recent this event was. So in 1986, there were a bunch of scientists working in a nuclear power plant factory, where they were supposed to be running a test to see if the nuclear reactor could work without the support that it needed. And when they tried to run the test, it basically exploded. And the series walks you through that. But it just shows like the mistakes everybody made. It is a reflection on communism and how that works within the government, and how, you know, everyone works for the state, so the state can never be wrong, and how you don't want to embarrass the state, and, you know, all government officials just have unlimited power basically to pull people out of their houses and use them at will. And that's what happens with the scientists. That happens after the reactor blows up and people have to go clean it up. That happens with, you know, everything, with like evacuations, and it's just a wild ride from beginning to end. The scientists, they did everything they could to fix the issues that were occurring, but, you know, it was what it was. A nuclear power plant exploded and they had to evacuate a whole city, and people wanted to reveal the truth, but Russia didn't want to risk, you know, embarrassing themselves on a world stage. So the truth was suppressed for such a long time, and it took basically the lead scientist killing himself for these things to happen. And, outside of that main story, because that's basically what the main story focuses on, but you see other things like a young woman and her husband, and how her husband was a first responder who was like directly affected by the radiation, how she was pregnant, and how how the radiation affected her pregnancy, and then how they had to evacuate the towns and kill all the pets. So, you had to just go door to door killing dogs and cats and everything like that. And, it just took a toll out of everybody. And it was a really cataclysmic event. And the government could have avoided the whole thing if they weren't too worried about their reputation. But following the suicide of that scientist, a lot of the truth was revealed, and, the circumstances of how the reactors were functioning and how they operated were changed so that another Chernobyl wouldn't happen again in Russia or anywhere for that matter. So, yeah, that's Chernobyl. It's on HBO. Everybody should go watch it. HBO is free right now for the quarantine. So, yeah. Moving on. I binge watched Better Call Saul. It's on Netflix right now. Well, the first 4 seasons are on Netflix, and the 5th season just aired on TV. And I watched the first 2 seasons a while ago, maybe last year, and it was really good. But I watch so much TV and stuff like that, so I just some shows just take a back seat, and that was one of them. But I love Breaking Bad so much, like I'm like a Breaking Bad stan, that I was like, you know what, let me just revisit this. So I started watching season 3 again, and this show is so good. Like I love shows that get better every season. And I don't know, Vince Gilligan, he's just great, man. Like the world that he's created and these characters, like, and people coming back that were in Breaking Bad, it's all good. It's all good. I really truly forgot how good the show was. And season 3 focuses on trying to tear down Jimmy for the events that happened in the previous season. And they basically just go back and forth with that throughout the entire season, and it results in Jimmy losing his license to practice law, and it's like a lot happened. And season 4 is just basically the events of what happens while Jimmy isn't a practicing lawyer, and it's the slow progression of Jimmy turning into someone. So it's all good stuff. And I just started watching the 5th season on my little free movie website. And this show is really good. It's really fantastic. It brings the world of Breaking Bad together in a very concise way. And it doesn't create more issues than it needs to with it like moving backwards. So I really enjoy it. So you guys can go ahead and watch that. Cause I would say watch Breaking Bad first. Watch Breaking Bad and then watch El Camino on Netflix and then start Better Call Saul, because then everything will make sense to you. So yeah. I was also able to catch the second part of The Last Dance. I know that it leaked online, so a lot of people have seen most of the series already. But, I'm not jumping up and down in my seat to catch all of that at one time. I'd rather just like take it in slowly. And that second part was crazy because it focuses on Scottie Pippen and, his issues with the Bulls at the time of that last season. And, he was getting robbed, yo. Like, it's crazy. First of all, Jerry Krause didn't want to fix his contract, and he didn't want him to leave. So that caused issues with Jerry Krause. He was disrespecting him in public. He had to have conversations with Phil. He had to have conversations with the owner. When Scotty had to get surgery and he wouldn't come back because he wanted to force a trade. Jordan said that he thought he was being selfish. And to be honest, he deserved all the money that he wanted because the Bulls struggled without him. Like, they were 0-4 on the road when they first started the season. Like, they couldn't get any wins. And it just showed in their performance. And like, just to put it in perspective, he was the 122nd highest paid player in the NBA, and he was the sixth highest paid player on the Bulls. But he was number one in assists, and he was number two in points, and he was number two in rebounds on the Chicago Bulls, who had won 5 championships at this point. So it's like, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Yeah. Now, on to something that I happened to stumble across while watching Netflix this week. It was this little show that just premiered called Cooked with Nimbus, and it actually happens to be hosted by Khalees. Yes, Milkshake Khalees. It features celebrity guest judges like Ricky Lake, Joe Coy. I think Boldy James was on an episode. I hadn't watched it, but I think somebody tweeted it out. But I haven't finished the whole series yet, but it's really dope. But that's like 2 of my favorite things, which is cooking shows and weed. Some other cooking shows that I love is Chopped, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Bon Appetit, Fuck That's Delicious, and Cake Boss. Anyway, the show does a good job of telling you what level the food is being infused at and how many milligrams of THC is being infused. It's just that, like, with celebrity judges, you got to get the right people, because my beef with weed cooking shows is that some of these people aren't experts in weed and they're not experts in food. So, like, who are they to tell me, like, oh, this is a really good dish, or man, I can really smell or I can really taste the THC, or I'm really getting high, and it's like, anybody could do that. It's entertaining nonetheless. I just wish that it would become more refined and a little bit more sophisticated, but that's just me being bougie. Like I said, I didn't watch the whole season yet, so I don't have much to say about it. So I guess I'll just leave it there. Finally, I'll talk about the one movie that I did catch this week, which was The Lighthouse. And I was very excited because I really wanted to see this movie. So when I found out that it was on Amazon Prime, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get into it. And I'll even talk about it on the podcast. So I sat and watched that whole movie, and great film. Like, Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, absolutely amazing performances by both of them. So for people that don't know, it's a film about a young man who comes to work on a very small island that has a lighthouse, and and the lighthouse is ran by another man. So it's basically just them two on a very small island surrounded by the sea, and basically insanity ensues because it's just them two. They're only surrounded by each other, and the older lighthouse keeper treats the younger man who's there to work, Robert Pattinson, like shit. So he treats him like shit all day, and then when they have dinner at night, he wants to have like casual conversation with them. So it leads to them both being driven insane. Robert Pattinson, he's just counting the days until he can get off the island. Then when it comes to him getting off the island, there's like this big storm, so then nobody comes to get him. And it's really well shot. The lighting is amazing. It's in black and white. The sound editing is great. Excellent music composition. And then, it's one of those films where a lot can be left up to interpretation. So, there's a lot of scenes that happen and you're like, wait, did that happen? Or is that a figment of his imagination? And then there are like even moments of dialogue where you're like, wait, how are you saying that he did that when you just, so there's a lot of confusing moments. And I feel like it's something that you should really watch, probably by yourself, just so you don't have to sit with somebody that's going to like consistently ask you questions, or if you like want to run it back to like watch it again. And, 4 stars, I would recommend. And that's pretty much it for today. I really like the flow of this episode today. I took my time with it, and I really hope to like bring you guys really quality content. And I'm working on getting guests on the show remotely. So I just bought a bunch of new equipment that will allow me to do that. And in the coming weeks, we'll be able to have conversations with other people and hear that. But for now, you stuck with me. Unless of course we outside by then. So whatever. But anyway, let me get out of here. Send topics, questions, music, and movie suggestions if you want to. And you can follow us on the podcast. Follow the podcast on Twitter at VS Mike History. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Versus Mike History. Follow me on Twitter at Mike History, and follow me on Instagram at Last Name History. And of course, where you can find all the content of Versus Mike History at versusmikehistory.com. And Patreon. We're on Patreon. There's 2 tiers. There's a $5 tier and a $10 tier. It comes with exclusive content. When people start subscribing and becoming patrons, they will start getting exclusive content there. So, yeah. Versus Mike History, we out.